Good morning, everyone. Jill here with North Texas Vegetable Gardening, canning recipes, a little bit of everything. Greg and I have come down with some kind of respiratory thing, and so we are battling this. I've been battling it for about 5 or 6 days. It settled in my chest pretty bad and hit Greg a couple of days ago. But guess what? The garden waits for no one, and the garden waits for nothing. Let's go around and see what's going on. So our tomatoes in this big high tunnel are looking really, really good. They've really come out of the roly-poly damage, and they are looking great. And now it's time, guys, for us to start pruning off the bottom of these plants so that they don't get disease. So it's really important that you keep your vines, or at least for us, I'm just going to say for us, really important that we keep our vines off the ground, because the moisture and the dampness sometimes will cause disease and it'll travel up your plant. So we got to get on this today and the next couple of days, and it'll take us a couple of days to work on this. I've been working on the ones in the little high tunnel in the morning, trying to get all my chores done so we can relax a little bit in the afternoon. But anyway, they are looking really good. Now I want to show you this. This is that volunteer plant, that tomato plant that survived over the winter. And we have 2 more over here that I'll show you in just a second. But this thing, guys, has just exploded. And this is the blueberry tomatoes, which is a heirloom variety. And they kind of get like a purple top and then turn red on bottom. And you can see it has just exploded with buds. And volunteer plants are fantastic for us because they have survived our environment for an entire year, and they're kicking back off. So we really expect this to be prolific and to go ahead and provide us with some great looking blueberry cherry type tomatoes. And this too is a blueberry tomato volunteer plant, and I'm not sure that it survived the winter, but I think there were some seeds in the ground maybe, and it is starting to come up. So we're going to have really a bumper harvest of these cherry like tomatoes, and I'm very excited. These are the only beets that are left. So Greg has spent the last week cutting up all of our beets and putting them in the freezer, and he is running them through the freeze dryer. He is on like his 3rd load right now. And for 5 to 7 gallons of beets, we're getting a 1.5 quarts of beet powder. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute, because one of my subscribers asked me what beet powder looks like. Just to try to give you a better scale of that one that I showed you at first. Look how huge that is. So this, guys, is a turnip that is going to seed, and we're going to go ahead and let it go to seed. And it is completely ginormous. Now what I want to talk to you about this morning is we had a lot of problems with this area of the garden last year with aphids. I had my okra here, and in this area it just got caked with aphids. Now, surprisingly, it still produced very well. But anyway, so what Greg did is he made a Bokashi bucket, and we'll go over that a little bit here in a minute, and I'll show you what he does. But he planted that. He stuck that Bokashi bucket right here in this ground, and immediately all the aphids started leaving the turnips that I had planted here. And I'm going to show you a little close-up here so you can see just how effective that Bokashi method is at creating a healthy soil where bugs can't attack our plants. And we do want this to go to seed, because we're going to save these seeds, because this will be our 2nd generation seeds, and my okra is coming up, which is seeds I saved from last year. So we're excited about that, because again, anything 2nd year is just going to get better and better and better and more adapted to our environment. So these plants, these turnip plants, would get infested with aphids in this area, and look, nothing, completely healthy leaves. And you can see the beet leaves are completely healthy and gorgeous. And we are attributing that to him putting that Bokashi in here and doctoring this soil up naturally. It took a while, but our okra plants are finally coming up from our seed. I'll thin these out when they get a little bit bigger, guys, so I can see. But look, we had really good germination coming from them. So you see those 6 buckets over there? That is Greg's Bokashi system. And this is what he does. He takes a 5-gallon bucket and he puts it in our kitchen for our scraps. And he'll put a little bit of Bokashi on the bottom. And then he'll put so many scraps. And then he'll add more Bokashi to it. And we'll continue to add scraps. And then more Bokashi. And then he'll let that sit for 21 days. And after 21 days, that is ready to go in the ground. He has taken one of these buckets and put them around all of our fruit trees because they will help strengthen them and fight off disease. I'm so sorry. They'll help fight off disease. They'll help fight off insects, and we're seeing that. So if you want to do a Bokashi system, that's how simple it is. Now, the key is once you start adding your Bokashi in there and your scraps, you want to be sure and seal that down and make sure that it's airtight because it needs to ferment a little bit, and that's what helps all that goodness grow. So our squash and zucchini and our patty pan squash is coming up really well in the little high tunnel, and it's starting to take off in the bigger high tunnel. So we're hoping that we're going to have a good squash harvest by Memorial Day. So we had to take down this one celery plant, guys. We started seeing some spider mites. I really wanted it to bolt out to save the seeds, and you see that's what I'm doing with that one right there. And it's just absolutely huge. But this is some of that celery that we got from Survival Garden Seed. And so I've got another backup batch coming in here that I'm counting on. Now I use even the leaves in soups, and I use it for my bone broths. Nutritionally rich, guys. So I came in here, and I have been doing this the last couple of mornings and pruning back some of my plants. This is a holy basil. This also came from the Survival Garden Seed Company, and we started it by seed. But look at these tomato plants in these wicking tubs, or these self-watering tubs. They are really prospering. I had to come in here and prune them back. And again, we're gonna have to start on that big high tunnel, and you can see my basil for the companion planting is coming up really well and doing really well. And then we have peppers that are doing fantastic. And then this is some of my eggplant. So I have been having to prune these back as well. These are the tomatoes that are in the ground in this little high tunnel. And they are doing quite well. I need to get in there and get some of those yellow leaves out. But you can see I have tomatoes everywhere in this little high tunnel. And I'm really counting on having some tomatoes ripe and ready by probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. They're looking really, really beautiful, but I do need to get in here. Gosh, I pruned it this morning and I just missed some of this stuff, but yeah, it's looking fantastic and I'm excited about it. And these beautiful tomatoes coming in. We're gonna get a jump start this year on our tomatoes, thank goodness. You can look on down the line here. Here's a gander of some of our peppers, along with some cilantro and some dill, which are great companion plants. They are doing really, really well. Very pleased. All in all, guys, I am just stoked about everything that's coming up in this little high tunnel here and how wonderful everything looks. Here's our little sweet peas, starting to get some flowering on it. Now, our weather is extremely mild right now. Today, we're only supposed to be in the lower 70s. Our nighttime lows are in the 50s, low 50s, upper 40s. That's going to be reinforced toward the end of this week with another cool front that's going to come through. So it is really helping everything take hold. We are definitely seeing more seasonally appropriate weather for us here in Texas. Now they're saying that we are going to go into an El Nino pattern, but I think for us it's going to be probably sometime in June. So we're probably going to be in a neutral pattern, which we'll take because it keeps us more seasonable until then. But and then we could go into a pretty wet pattern for the summertime, which we'll take. And we don't want the excessive heat. They're saying that we may be warm warm as in normal, but I don't think warm as in normal is warm like we had last year. And that's, boy, I'm believing that, and I'm counting on that. So let's continue to pray that that weather pattern stays normal, and that we don't get the excessive heat that we had last year. So my fava beans are doing really well, and then these are my calico beans. They are doing really well. They'll start to trellis up this trellis. Very excited to see how these do. Even just a little bit, guys, is better than nothing. And then we'll save seeds from these plants for next year, and continually increase where we plant these things once we see how we do. Look at this beautiful brandywine tomato here. I got some gorgeous brandywine plants going. So again, the garden waits for no one. We still have to get out here and do our chores and get things pruned back. Make sure that everything's under control, because we certainly can't afford to lose anything this year. Not that we lost anything last year. We got quite a bit of tomatoes, but things seem to have been delayed because of the extreme heat and the drought that we were in. But praise the Lord, we are really going into a fantastic weather pattern for gardening, at least here in the North Texas area, because we are having the very cool nights and the mild days. Magnolia. That's Pop's magnolia tree that we got to get in the ground. A friend of mine sent that to us, but last year, or right after my mother passed. And so, yeah, we got to get this in the ground for Pop. But anyway, so yeah, things are looking really, really well. We are very pleased with everything that we have planted. Very pleased with how our seeds have performed with Survival Garden Seed Company. I'll put that link below if you guys want to check them out. But anyway, yeah, we are doing really, really well. And that's why we can't, even though both of us feel pretty crummy right now, we can't risk letting things go. And thankfully we've got Pop, and he's been out here mowing, and he's been doing a lot of the watering for us. So we're very blessed to have him. But yeah, I wanted to give you guys an update. So here are some sweet potato slips that came from our sweet potatoes from last year. We'll be putting those in the tubs today or tomorrow, depending on how well Greg feels, because that's kind of a chore. We're going to have to change up our soil this year, because, you know, last year we had really a rough go, guys. And if you're growing your sweet potatoes, whether it's in the ground or in a tub, you're going to want to make sure you have a very good loose soil, because our soil last year was way too dense, and so we didn't get near the harvest that we did the year before, but we did get some good slips. So you saw those onions at the beginning of the video. These are going to have to come out of the ground. We've got yellow and white onions. We've done very well with our onions. I did start these from seed, guys, and very, very happy with them. Onions is the spice of life, and it's very good for our soups and stews. And one thing I want to point out, if you're in the North Texas area, guys, and you start seeing this weed right here that's coming up, this is an invasive weed, and you want to get rid of it before it goes to seed. See, it's starting to go to seed. And we started seeing it throughout this high tunnel in certain spots, and we've been pulling it and getting rid of it. And you want to do that as well, because you can see that it kind of likes to hibernate around some of our plants. So be sure and get rid of this stuff. This is an invasive weed, and it will take over your yard and your garden. So we feel extraordinarily blessed this year, guys, because we are certainly seeing a better takeoff this spring than we did this time last year. And we are so thankful for the mild weather, and so thankful for how everything is coming up and how healthy everything is. And even though we had that pill bug, that roly-poly issue, a lot of your help was wonderful, and we got that sluggo and went to town in here, and it really did work. So if you're looking for a pill bug remedy, the sluggo plus did do the trick for us. But anyway, look at all that's going to go on the ground in here. This thing's going to be loaded up. So thank you all for watching. She was flying. And that's just a little dirt road next to my house. Anyway, sorry. We have all this. This place is going to be filled up. You can see how quickly everything has already taken off in here, just from when we planted. This mild weather is helping us, but we're working hard, still working hard, trying to get everything done. Say a prayer for us that we get over this stuff. We're hearing that others have it. It's really kind of odd to me that we're getting some kind of respiratory this time of year, but so be it. It could be anything. But anyway, thank you for watching. We love you all. Stay in touch, because this thing, we're going to have, the Lord willing, we're going to have fruits and vegetables beyond our imagination. At least that's what we're praying for, and we're praying that for you as well. So take care. God bless. We'll be in touch. Say some prayers for us. Love you guys.